Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and are you looking for a little sturdy fabric box to store some things in, or perhaps give as a gift, or put a gift inside the box? Well, Sue Blevice has come out with a great pattern. Now, this pattern is from We Also blog from Bernina, USA. It's a great pattern, and I'm going to put a link in the description so you can follow along. But let's get started because this is going to look great in any fabric combination. The box is a sturdy box. It's made out of fabric, but it is very sturdy. And what makes that box sturdy is the interfacing that you put inside. Now there's many different kinds that you can get, and I'm going to be using Stiffen from Fairfield, and it is very hard. It's like a cardboard. The bonus is you can wash this. You can't wash cardboard. You can get it where it's fusible on both sides, on one side, or not at all. And I'm going to be using the one that's fusible on both sides. It's just going to save a lot of time. The first thing you need to do is choose your fabric. Now you can do a different fabric on each side, and you could even fussy cut it if you want. But I'm going to do the one side one color and the inside another. So I'm going to be able to use 2 large pieces of fabric. And if you have your fabric 9 inches by 18 inches, and your Stiffen the same size, you are going to be able to fuse this all in one step. Then we're going to cut all of the small pieces as we need them. And if you're going to fussy cut, you can just take your fabric and fuse it on the Stiffen. And you can line it up, or you can make it a little bit bigger and cut it down to size. For the large piece, you're going to be able to just fuse it on both sides. And I like to go a little bit over so that when I trim it, I'm going to have a nice straight cut. And you can feel that stiffen underneath because it is quite thick. But you won't have any problems cutting it at all. For the main body of the box, you need 5 pieces identical in size, and they're 4-inch squares. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut it into 5 4-inch squares. For the lid, you're going to need a square just a little bit bigger. So cut your square 4 1/4. Then you're going to need to have these little lips to go all the way around the outside. So they're going to be 4 1/4 by 1 inch. I'm going to cut a 1 inch from here, and then I'm going to be able to cut this into the 4 1/2 inch marks. So this is all you're going to need: a 4 1/4 inch top plus your 1 inch strips, and that's going to be this area here. 5 4-inch squares, and that's going to give you the 4 sides and the bottom. The next thing you're going to do is do a satin stitch all the way around the outside. And it is going to give it this nice, clean appearance. Now, the color is up to you. You can use any color you want. I am going to use a red thread on both the bobbin and the top. And before I do that zigzag or that satin stitch all the way around, I want to color in that white interfacing in the inside. And what's going to happen is it's going to sort of help the fabric look like it's covered more densely. So just take your pieces, take a permanent marker, and you can do this just holding all of the pieces together and just color all of that Stiffen. What this is going to do is it's going to look like a shadow underneath the stitching. Even though I did a very tight satin stitch, you can see a little bit of the fabric underneath. Now, if you're going to use white thread, it's going to be fine. But if you're going to use a dark thread, when you color that in, you don't see that white peeking out. And that's just going to give it a nice polished look. So I'm going to color all of the edges of the fabric. And make sure that the marker is dry before you get sewing it. Now, if you are using red thread and you happen to have a red marker, color it in the red. You can already see the difference on the inside. Now, because you're going to be sewing through this little bit of a thicker product, I would recommend a heavier needle. You can do a denim needle right up to 116, or you could do an all-purpose at a 90-14. Either needle will work fine. And when you start stitching, just start somewhere in the middle of one of the ends, and your needle's going to go on the outside, and you're going to zig into the fabric and then zag outside the fabric. And you're just going to keep going into the fabric, off the fabric, in the fabric, all the way down to the end. When you get to the end, you can leave your needle out, but leave the fabric and everything attached and turn, and then just continue your zigging and your zagging. So the needle is going to go outside of the fabric and then inside of the fabric. Now you can go as wide as you want or as narrow as you want, but what you do want is a nice tight row so you don't see the fabric. Now, if you're not happy with how much fabric you see, you can always go around twice. Each one of these units needs to be stitched all the way around. So there's that tight zigzag or satin stitch on both sides. And if you look, you'll be able to see this area here. I did not put the magic marker on, and this I did. You'll see it just is a slight difference. So put your needle down, then you're going to be able to just take this and push it right against the needle. And that's the position you're going to want to go. So you're going to go in and then out. So you're not sewing on the edge, you're going on the outside of the edge. And just continue that all the way down to the end. And you're going to go right off of the end and have the needle go on the far side. You'll be able to just take this, turn it so you've not had to cut the thread, and start stitching down. So the needle's just right at the end, and start stitching. And when you have the one side done, you can trim any little threads that are there. Then I would recommend flipping it over and repeat the stitching all the way around. And it's going to fill in any little spot that was missed. You now have a beautiful stitch on one side and equally is nice from the other. So we have the 5 pieces done for the box part and 5 pieces for the lids. Now we need to sew the lid and the box together. So make sure you have the 5 pieces that are 4.5 inches, and the lid is going to have the 4 1/4. And we're going to sew them together. You're going to have a center piece, then you're going to work the sides all the way around a center piece. And you're going to take a stitch and you're going to stitch all the way around that center. Now there's a stitch and it goes from the center to one side to the center to the other side, and it goes back and forth this way. So you're going one, center, the other, center, the other. And that one in the center makes a little bit of a hinge. It's a really, really nice stitch. Then we need to do the same with the lid. So we will need to sew the 4 sides around the top of the lid. And you're just going to be able to go continuously around. So what the stitch is going to do, it's going to stitch in the middle, go to one side, go to the middle, and then go to the next side. So you can use a lot of different feet. You can use an open foot, you can use a foot that's closed, and you can also use a foot that has a little bar in the center. And you'll be able to take the fabric and push it up against that bar. I'll show you with both feet. So start with the needle in the down position. Then you're going to be able to just put the 2 pieces right together and start sewing. It goes to one side, it goes to the next. It goes to one side, it goes to the next. And you're going to be able to just nestle that fabric right together. And with that metal bar in the center, you're going to be able to just keep that fabric together. It's just another way of guiding the fabric. You're going to stitch so that you end up in the center and off that corner. Then you're going to be able to take the second piece and you're going to push it right up against the bottom. Pivot it. Match up your fabrics and stitch down. And you're going to continue that by putting one on the next corner and then swing it around and put it on the next. So this is going to be the bottom. And what you're doing is you're sewing the 4 sides on. So you'll need to do one more side and put that on and then do the next. And you can see it has stitched it together and has made a hinge so that you're able to move it to create that box. So we have the bottom of the box and the lid. Now we need to decide which way we're going to have the box. Because at this point, you can put it any way you want. And we'll need to attach the sides with either hand stitching or some glue. So regardless if you hand stitch that together or put some hot glue on there, it is a done and a sturdy little box. They are quick and easy to make, and you can make them in any fabric. I do hope you give it a try, and I'll put a link in the description so you can follow along. And as always, thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're sewing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.